Ladies and gentlemen, if everybody's ready, we're going to make a start. So welcome to the inaugural call of WINiT, Women in Travel call, and thank you very much for joining today's call. My name's Hamish McKenzie, and my role is to facilitate this webinar this morning, and I'll be coordinating with Mick Lee, the founder of WINiT. And shortly I'll introduce you to some guest speakers who will be joining this call as well. So the purpose of this call is, as you can see on the slide, you can see there, the purpose is to raise your awareness around exactly what WINiT is. Secondly, we're going to manage expectations and encourage you to join the July 26 conference. And lastly, we're going to provide a call for action. So if I can just expand on those points a little bit more. First of all, sorry, we're just managing a call and that's dealt with. So first of all, let me expand on these three areas and expand on the purpose of the call. We want to reconfirm in the awareness, reconfirm the basis behind WINiT. And obviously, I'm going to hand over to Mick shortly to manage that. But we've also got some guest speakers to talk about that as well. We have Hervé Sedki, who is well known in the travel industry. He's an entrepreneur and venture capitalist, and also, importantly, an advisor to the WINiT network. So we're going to hear from Hervé as well. We're also going to hear from Pam Cottaspotty, who is an Executive Vice President at American Express, to give her perspective on why it's such an important movement as well. After we've dealt with awareness, we're going to talk specifically about July 26, and obviously Mick and I will be managing your expectations around that and talking to you about what you can specifically expect for that conference. We have a guest speaker there as well, and we're going to hear from Christy Hicks, who is the Senior Vice President of Starwood Sales. And Starwood being a sponsor of that event, it's going to be very interesting to hear from Christy why this is a very important conference. And we're going to close out the call with a call for action and some tactical things that we're going to encourage you to do. And then we'll have a time for Q&A. We can't guarantee that we're going to address all the questions. We're going to be monitoring the questions as they come online. We are certainly going to endeavour to answer the ones that seem to be reoccurring over and over again. We're going to address them, and also I think later on in LinkedIn we're going to provide an answer to a lot of those questions as well, in terms of the predominant questions and the predominant areas for intrigue that we're going to answer. So with that, why don't we make a start? And to that point, let's talk a little bit about awareness. And as I said before, the purpose of the awareness is to reconfirm the basis behind WINiT. So let me hand over to Mick, and Mick, I'll put up there on the screen there, let's be clarified, let's be clear around what WINiT is. So with that, Mick, what is WINiT?
Great, thank you, Hamish, and thank you everyone for taking the time to join this discussion. WINiT is a network of women and men who have come together to support the career development, promotion, and visibility of women in the travel industry. This is a group of people that recognize that while the workforce in the travel industry is over 65% women, our numbers are very low at senior executive levels and are in the minority relative to visibility at industry speaking engagements. We have come together to collectively identify ways that we can change these statistics, make adjustments to company recruitment practices to increase awareness and inclusion, and enhance the career and personal development for women of all levels. We are a nonprofit organization. We've completed the appropriate paperwork. It does take between 6 and 9 months for formal approval of a nonprofit organization. We have retained a nonprofit consultant. The best in the industry has donated her time to be part of this movement. And due to the progress of our 60 senior leaders who have confirmed volunteer positions in WINiT, we have made a great deal of progress. We're also hiring a full-time coordinator to keep the momentum going, and we do not expect that we will need to hire any additional full-time staff. We are a lean grassroots organization. And based on the discussions I've had with women and men since we started this journey, I also think it's very important to talk about what WINiT is not. WINiT is not about any injustice for or against any gender. And it is not dedicated to relationship building, R&R trips, and excursions. There are other groups that provide that. WINiT is also not about women empowerment, because by definition, empowerment means to give power, to enable, to permit. Women don't need to be empowered. We all have power, women and men alike. And finally, WINiT is not intended to be competition with other industry associations. These associations are making our industry better. WINiT is focused on making the people in our industry better.
Excellent. So thanks, Mick. And as you can see on the slide there, there's a summary of those key points that Mick was highlighting. I alluded to before that we were going to hear from Hervé Sedki, so we're going to hear from him in a couple of seconds. Hervé is well known in the travel industry, and Hervé has been an advisor to the WINiT movement. Hervé, can I ask you the question, what further clarity would you like to provide around what WINiT is?
Sure, thank you, Hamish. WINiT is an organization built with trusted and respected partners who've come collectively to really change the mindset of the industry. It's a great organization focused on the promotion of women that bring men into the conversation. The numbers that we see for women diminish the more senior the role, and that's simply a fact, and it's frankly depressing. Bottom line, women have a higher GPA on average than men. 60% of college students are women, so the foundation is there. But there is a systemic problem between joining the workforce in equal or even greater numbers to men and what happens as women progress in their careers relative to title, level, compensation as compared to men. Women are critical to the success of the travel industry. The issue, having said that, is not unique to the travel industry. And there are other organizations out there that have been around for many years who have focused on exactly the same issue. There is a significant problem that we all are trying to solve. While WINiT is the only organization that exists focused on this specific issue for the travel industry, the focus has been one that transcends industries, which is why I think we got the attention of one of our strategic partners, the Clinton Global Initiative, or CGI. CGI invited WINiT to their membership early on because they recognized that WINiT was created in a manner to be replicated across industries, and their women and girls programs identified the gap that could be filled by the mission of WINiT.
Excellent. Thanks, Hervé. So as you can see, so everybody should now be a little bit more aware of exactly what WINiT is, and as Mick said, as what WINiT is not. And what a fantastic thing to be aligned to the Clinton Global Initiative. So the next thing I'd like to ask the question is, and we're going to hear from another guest speaker at some stage as well, but Mick, can I come back to you and let's answer the question, why should our listeners and participants on this call, why should you be interested?
There's a few reasons. There's many reasons why, and I wanted to start off by talking about where we are so far today. We've had this conversation in the industry with women and men on a global basis, so this is not a U.S.-centric, and it's certainly not all about women. The method of communication that we've engaged with so far has been the LinkedIn group. We have, to date, 642 members. There are over 500 people in attendance today. And there are 60 women and men already committed, as I mentioned earlier, to specific roles in the industry. I want to take a moment to recognize a few of these leaders who have engaged with WINiT so far and have really helped us to get us to where we are. On the next slide, you'll see the list of companies. I want to start with Starwood Hotels, who are our founding partners, the first ones to believe in WINiT and believe in our movement and the story that we have to tell. You'll hear from Christy in a bit. Event Forum, Inc. Is an incredible event planning company led by Rich Venezio. They have organized this discussion and are completely managing our launch event for July 26th. All Performance Associates, Mimi Aldeda has been engaged in coordinating our volunteers. It is thanks to Mimi that we've gotten the level of progress that we have so far in pulling together all of these different initiatives. DesignWorks New York, Kelly Briggs designed our logo and is building out our interactive website. We have, when you think of nonprofit, as I mentioned earlier, the only person that comes to mind and when you talk to people in this space is Lori Bertman. And Bertman and Associates are providing our nonprofit consulting and expert advice to maneuver in this space and make sure we do so successfully. And finally, M Squared, Hamish and Martha McKinsey are refining our pitch. I'm personally work in progress, but they really help us to focus in on what our message is and make sure that we're being consistent. All of these people have donated their time and have been a crucial part to get us to this point. So I wanted to recognize and thank you so much for everything that you've done for us so far. And with that, I think I'd like to just also share the board of directors. We have our board of directors who have been key to our strategy and our programming. They've really helped us to build out where we are right now. And as you can see, I want to pause so you could read for a moment the list of men and women on this slide. And I think that you'll agree that it's an impressive list of advisors, and I'm honored to be able to turn to these leaders for their guidance. We have our advisory board of senior leaders, and this board continues to be formed. These people have been our strategic guides on what our offering is into the industry. We will continue to tap into them as we progress, and you'll note that Pam is certainly one of our leaders as part of that board. And finally, we have our mission advancement team. These are the men and women who are most passionate supporters, an eclectic group of women and men professionals of all levels and different backgrounds, personalities, and experiences who have all brought their voices, their opinions, and there are a lot of them, and their experiences to our movement. For these men and women that I've just shared with you, I am extremely grateful for their dedication and their time that they have committed to us so far. We have had some fantastic conversations and debates about what we are and how we message, and all of the words that you're hearing me say today have been parts of each one of these men and women giving me the guidance and their feedback. In my opinion, when it comes to the support of women, if the question you have is why, my answer is why not? If you aren't sure why we are here, look at your own company representation at the top. If you aren't sure why we are here, think about the lack of diversity at industry functions you have attended, even in the last 2 years, not of paid speakers, but of our own industry professionals that are in front of us. And if you're not sure of the answer as to why WINiT, then ask any of the 60 people I mentioned on these previous slides for them to also answer that question.
Well, what a perfect time to ask one of those people. So I'm going to flick back to the previous slide, and at the top of that list, you'll see Pam's name. Now, if we could be all a little bit understanding with Pam, unfortunately, Murphy's Law, Pam is suffering from laryngitis at the moment. So, Pam, we will appreciate if you keep it brief and everybody understands that laryngitis is not a great thing for a webinar. But, Pam, if we could ask you to provide a brief response to that question at the top of the slide that everybody can see there is, why do you think everybody should be interested?
Thank you, Hamish. This is Pam Kadaspati. Again, I apologize for my voice. I hope you can hear me. But I wanted to really put an exclamation point on the comments that Mick and Hervé have made. They've done a great job setting the stage for why we need to support women and women in travel. I have always been a passionate advocate for women in the workplace and have been heavily involved in our diversity efforts at American Express, where I'm proud to say that 60% of our workforce are women and nearly 1/3 of our executives. But even here at Amex, there's so much more work that needs to be done to create a truly level playing field. When Mick originally met with me to talk about WINiT, I was sold instantly. First, by her passion. It's infectious. She's a force of nature. But also I was very compelled by her rationale for the need for change in the travel industry. I do think there's a burning platform. So I wanted to make 2 big points. The first, the travel industry is a powerful force in the economy and we need to fuel it. And number two, that in order for the travel industry to succeed, we need more women in the pipeline and at the top of organizations. Let's start with the importance of the travel industry. Here are just a few facts. First, travel and tourism contributes more to GDP than the automotive industry. With 98 million people, this industry employs 6 times more than the automotive industry, 5 times more than the chemicals industry, and 4 times more than mining. For every dollar spent on travel and tourism, $3.2 are generated in GDP across the economy. Our industry is big and it's important. My next point is that women are key to the success of this industry. This is not a nice to have to support women. It's a business imperative. In order for the travel industry to continue to be such a driver of GDP, we need more women. Here are another set of facts. In terms of shareholder value, we know that companies with a high representation of women in top management have 35% higher ROE, and total shareholder return is 34% better. We also know that women contribute to 40% of the developed world's GDP. And closer to home, we know that 60% of travel buyers are women. We need to understand women, and we need to include more women in the industry. One final point. I am committed to WINiT because I believe that Mick and her team have created a winning formula for success. They're not trying to be a whole new association or to recreate the wheel. Instead, they want to create a movement, a new forum that will complement existing organizations. A great example is that the WINiT event this summer that you're going to hear more about is associated and complementary to the GBTA conference. I hope you join us in this movement. I hope you feel the passion that we feel for making a difference for women and the travel industry. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much, Pam, and I'm sure you would all agree some very compelling reasons there. And as we say in pitching, backed up some very good evidence and stats and statistics and facts, so very compelling indeed. Thank you very much again, and thank you very much considering the way that your voice is at the moment. Came through loud and clear, I think, to all of us in the room, so thanks again. So that's addressing, why you should be interested. We're going to flick ahead now and address the last part of the awareness section of our webinar, and that is address how do we anticipate and how is WINiT actually going to work. So with that, Mick, how would you like to address that?
As we've shared in previous slides, we have 8 committees led by our mission advancement team. Each of these committees have between 5 and 15 members supporting them. And I'd like to take you through each of them very briefly. And as you see these and as you hear what each of them have been developed to address for the industry, I'd like to learn from you, and we'd all like to learn from you, what we might be missing, or perhaps how we might add or change the focus of these committees. So as you read through this, please make note of any observations and share them with us. Starting with the career mobility and services. This team is led by Bindu, Bev, RG, Barb, and Mike. And this committee is really focused on getting women in the pipeline for senior roles, partnering with HR teams, sharing best practices, and through the website that DesignWorks New York is creating, communicate open roles, share resumes, and really engage in conversations around opportunities in the industry. The Mentoring and Coaching Committee, led by Carol, Harriet, Dee, Cindy, and Tony. This is the formal development of a mentor program, and the focus here is to provide access to senior leaders across all companies and across all companies within the industry. So it's junior professionals matched with senior seasoned veterans in the industry. This could be a junior person in the airline industry who always wanted to tap into corporate and wants to get a match there. It might be someone in New York who always wanted to work in London and want to get matched with someone in London. So it really will be focused on what the need is. It gives senior leaders, men and women, the opportunity to give back to the community and to really help this area. And we'll also be focused on coaching opportunities for experienced professionals to give back to their colleagues. Developing talent, some of the initial education sessions that Mary, Tammy, Maria, Kim, and Richard have come up with. Knowing your brand, establishing a career plan, public speaking, finding your voice, recruitment with inclusion, and there are many more. And you'll see from this, you're not going to see any type of courses that would be in competition with another association. You're not going to see Hotel RFP 101 here. This is about personal career development and will be tailored exactly to what you need in the industry. There'll be a survey that's sent around after this webinar, and that's our first indicator to identify what is meaningful to you, what we're missing, and what you want to make sure we do offer in the launch event. Networking and event planning, led by Kathy, Lisa, Holly, Liz, with Michael. These are the structured events focused on developing talent, so there's obviously some great collaboration between and among the different committees. They will focus on what you want to see for developing talent and provide structured access to senior leaders and innovators. When we use the word networking in WINiT, it's not about a cocktail party. It's about having a reason to spend your time engaging with others in the industry, men and women, and doing something that's going to progress your career. Membership and annual giving, this is our link to the industry. So these guys are focused on the recruitment and retention of WINiT members, led by Mimi, Caitlin, Jennifer, Jessica, Jennifer, and Kevin. And this team will be really focused on understanding how we can best serve the industry, learning more from you about what we should add to our curriculum, what is not as important, and what we should be focused on. Communications and social media, led by